What's up, YouTube? It's me, the artisanmc, and today I am going to review for you X-Men 97 Episode 9, Tolerance is Extinction, Part 2. Well, now, I literally just finished the episode, and I had goosebumps because I kind of had an idea where it was going from what was happening in the show, and when it happened, I felt it. It hurt. It hurt. Oh God, it hurt. So, not to spoil anything, because this is the penultimate episode of this season 1. The episode opens up with you getting reintroduced to all the X-Men, and not in this is their name or whatever, but you're seeing where they are right now and what's going on with them right now and what has happened to the planet after Magneto threw off his EMP pulse. Now, the different X-Men are scattered, but they eventually start to find each other. And this time you see Magneto donning his traditional costume and his helmet and raising a chunk of rock from the ocean, being Asteroid M. Now, for me, fan of Magneto, I like this. I really do think, oh, great, he's going to put Asteroid M back on the map. All right. It's cool. But what you get back at the school is Xavier getting some shit from Cyclops about where he was and why he left Magneto in charge. And this is what happens when you do this and whatnot. Now, I found this part kind of stupid to me. I don't think Scott should have been upset with Xavier for what Magneto did. Leaving Magneto in charge of the X-Men was not the problem. It was not. Because he tried. Like I said in previous videos, he tried to do it Xavier's way. He did. I was his friend. He has respect for his friend. He tried to do it his friend's way. The humans came out and massacred thousands of them at one time. That'd be too much for anybody to take. Okay? So, for Scott to blame Xavier for that is pointless. It's just him being mad that Xavier was gone and then came back. Even though the whole time Xavier was gone, he was crying about what would the professor do and all the rest of this shit. And it turned out just like he thought. The professor wanted them to have a life. He wanted Scott and Jean to be able to go and have a life, because what's the point of saving a world that you don't live in and enjoy? What's the point of that shit? Now, because of that, I thought Scott's anger was misplaced, and I didn't really appreciate it. That part was bothering me, that he was giving Xavier shit about that. Like, he was the one told Magneto to go up there and do what he did. Magneto is Magneto, and he doesn't need anybody's commands or direction to do what he feels is the right thing to do. And that's what the hell he did. Because he did that, the X-Men lived another day. Because make no mistake about it, them Prime Sentinels was about to wipe them the fuck out on day one. It was a losing battle for them. It was too many of them, and they don't have the power to stand up to it. It's not enough, right? Now, they have their little moment of, a little spat, and Scott proving that there is a divide, in a sense, or a growing divide between Xavier and him. He's mad at Xavier. Okay, this is about as pointless as Jean being mad at Scott for still having feelings for Madeline. Either way, it's not ruining the episode for me, but I just thought it was a bit silly. Now, the strategy for all this, once all the X-Men gather at the mansion because they heard Xavier's call, is for the blue and gold team, which I loved hearing. I loved hearing that. Oh man, I love that. So you guys don't understand. That's when I think of the X-Men, I think of the blue and gold teams, and that is, I love that. I love that. But you get them devising this plan that some are going to go to Muir Island, and then some are going to go after Bastion, right? But in the midst of doing all this battle planning, there is a rumbling happening outside, and Magneto shows up to Xavier's school with Asteroid M in tow and comes and talks to Charles. Now, the conversation is a bit pointed because Charles is really trying to rationalize with Magneto. Like, we knew what happened. Like I said it in the last video, he was going to have a conversation. They got to have a conversation. They do. And I would take that for one episode. And this was the episode. This is the episode that they actually had to have a conversation because Magneto and Xavier, you knew that was going to happen. Magneto tried it his way. It did not work. It did not work. Thousands of mutants got killed in front of Magneto's face. Charles just came back and still talking to that peace and kumbaya. You're going to have a very strong argument, sir. And that's just what it is. It's an uphill battle for Charles. But they had to have that face-to-face conversation. Right? But what happens, which is normal for Magneto when he actually creates Asteroid M, he will invite mutants to come with him. And some mutants on the X-Men side do leave with Magneto, which is normal. It happens. I mean, on Genosha, you saw Amelia Volt, right? And she's another one of these characters that decided to go with Magneto when he created Asteroid M, right? Now, that's not unheard of. But it was cool, the characters that did choose to go with him, Sunspot and Rogue. And Rogue in her Uncanny Avengers costume, the Unity Spot costume, which I think they'll lead into because they had her meeting Captain America a little while ago. And her and Captain America were part of the Uncanny Avengers. Now, them going with Magneto and Asteroid M is him creating another place where mutants can gather and leave this world to die. Now, Xavier wants to tell him that they're not gods, and you have to fix what he did before the world dies. And for me, it is kind of a hard sell because I would say maybe they are gods. Maybe. What is the Phoenix Force other than something godly? Power of creation across multiverses? Sounds pretty godly to me. Now, while Charles does not sway Magneto and he leaves, the plan goes ahead with the two teams going after two separate targets because, as I believe I predicted it in the last episode review that you haven't seen, they were going to have to fight a battle on two fronts because they have to deal with Magneto and they have to deal with Bastion. They would have to deal with the both of them simultaneously. It was not a way that they were going to deal with one and then the other because you're not going to talk Magneto down after something like this. It's not happening. Now, as far as Bastion, I would consider him more of a lesser threat at the moment because all his prime sentinels are out of commission. far as I'm concerned, with EMP, they're not commissioned. They're not getting powered back up. That's done. So the fact that he is actually marshaling some forces that he does have, which is some other Sentinels, some older model Sentinels, is interesting because he got a crap load of them. So it's going to be a problem for whatever team shows up there. Now, the X-Men do what they do, and I'm jumping over a little bit because I don't want to spoil too much, but the X-Men do what they do and go for the fight on two fronts. And the action in this scene is awesome. And some of the people who show up in this scene is fun. This is one of the things I like about this show, that they are able to pull in other characters in by way of morph. Just having morph turn into different characters gets you a cameo from said character. And this one's cameo was awesome. It was cool. I'm still not sure how Morph's abilities work to where he has the powers of whoever he shapeshifts into, but it's still cool. It's still cool. It's still working out kind of cool. So I'm not that worried about it. Now, I don't even know if I want to say. Blue team goes after Asteroid M. Scott, Nightcrawler, Wolverine, Xavier, to try to talk Magneto down. And getting onto Asteroid M is easy, but getting to Magneto specifically or personally is a little bit of a challenge, given that Rogue and the Sunspot are there putting up a fight against their friends. Now, there's a couple of funny moments in this where it's not funny, haha, but just interesting. And the one that sticks out for me is Sunspot and Jubilee, because Sunspot left and Jubes wanted him to stay, and how two little young lovers deal with that, especially when they got powers and in the middle of an X-Men fight. Kind of funny to me, right? But it was reminiscent of Civil War with Nat and Clint, fighting on different sides in the Civil War movie. Now, the fight goes as you may think, with Xavier trying to get Magneto's helmet removed so he can access Magneto's mind and reverse the effects of the magnetic field over the Earth. Now, the Gold team, Storm, Forge, Cable, Beast, have gone after Bastion off the coast of San Francisco. Another place X-Men had a haven. And in that attempt, they're met by a crap load of Sentinels. Now, they're holding their own pretty good, given the people on the squad. The fight takes an unexpected turn when Sinister shows up. And the Sinister starts to fight Jean Grey and talking to her and trying to get in her head, because like a Sith, him talking to her is enough to try to throw her off balance a little bit. And what you get to see is a little bit more of Sinister's powers, because what most people don't know about Sinister is that he was not naturally a mutant. He's not a mutant. He's been mutated, but he's not a mutant. Okay? Sinister gained his abilities from cutting on other mutants and grafting those abilities and figuring out how to synthesize and clone those abilities onto himself. Okay? He was a regular dude. Nathaniel Essex was a regular dude, but he was given the gift of immortality by Apocalypse. And through his immortality, he had many lifetimes to work on people who had mutations and figure out how they work, how to take them, and how to give them. He's given them to himself, a lot of them. A lot of them. So it was cool to see him doing different things with his abilities that you have not seen on screen before. This was the first time you ever seen Sinister in a fight using, some other abilities outside of energy blast from his hands. Okay. So that was cool for me. And the shadow melting ability, I don't give a shit. That's cool as hell to me. If I could shadow melt, I would do it. That'd be one of those teleportation abilities that would be a little bit more fun. Going through a shadow realm and coming out somewhere else. Cool as hell. Now, during this fight, it is revealed to Jean that Cable has been taken over by Mr. Sinister. And at a point, you see the red diamond on on Cable's forehead. And that I would think through the techno-organic virus, Sinister was able to gain control of Cable because he wants the abilities that Cable can generate, which is his telepathy and telekinetics. And that's what you have. Not Scott, but Jean facing off against her stepson, Cable. And I mentioned it last time about Cable having telepathy, but he also has telekinetics and not using it. You didn't see him using it. This episode answered that question. He used his telekinetics, and he was just off the charts doing stuff one-handed. So it shows you how powerful Cable actually is outside of the guns and everything else, that he is really a force to be reckoned with, even in the future. Now, back on Asteroid M, the X-Men are having a hard go of it with Magneto. And through a hook and a crook, Wolverine is able to get his helmet off and leave Magneto open to Charles's attack. And attack Charles Dud with his telepathic abilities and gets into Magneto's head to stop him, and then try to access his abilities to reverse the damage to the Earth that he did. Now, while this is going on, Scott gets a psychic message from Jean, who was in distress, and she pulls him onto like a localized astral plane to see her and Cable facing off, and she tells him, "I love you." And Cyclops is kind of freaked out because he can see his woman fighting his son. When he snaps back to on Asteroid M, he sees what's going on with Xavier, and he blasts Magneto and tells him, "We need a little bit more. The Gold Team needs a little bit more time." Now, Magneto gets off the floor pissed because Xavier was in his mind trying to stop him and access his abilities. He is pissed. And when he lets off his electromagnetic wave, everybody is pinned the hell down. He is not taking no chances with nobody. Everybody's pinned down. He's pissed. He's heated. And while he goes after Charles with his anger, his back is turned. And you get the moment that I thought was going to happen in this, and did. And I'm not going to tell you what the hell that is. You got to watch the episode. But in all, I can say this episode, the leave on this episode was more dramatic than the leave in the last episode. I'm really thinking that is an amazing thing that is pulling off in this. Once again, this episode has the shades of two different stories in it, but it's being told in a concise manner that it feels like it works through all of this. It's streamlined, but it works in the story that's being told right now. And I'm loving the shit. I'm loving the fact that I called a couple of things that were going to happen. the battle on two fronts, the conversation between Xavier and Magneto, Cable getting to use his telekinetic power, so you can see how strong that is. I mean, all of this is really good stuff. Really good stuff. And I really want to understand why they fired this dude. Because this is some damn good writing. This is damn good storytelling for a 30-minute show. Like, I think I might feel bad if the third season of this show is an utter DEI stink bomb. I'm going to feel really bad. But for now, I feel really good. I'm enjoying this show. The show is giving me WTF moments out the wazoo, and I'm loving it. I'm loving everything about this show, and I'm glad I stayed up to watch this as opposed to other things I stay up late to watch. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end this episode right now with no spoilers. Thank you guys for coming through. Like, share, subscribe, support the stream if you feel so inclined. Cash App and PayPal, artisanmc, and I will see you all next time for the finale of this phenomenal show. So see you next time. Peace.